reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network.
You're logging into your favorite game, grinding out some gear. A couple of points added to your stats, and you have a virtual beer. Max level is pretty cool, but I'll remind you here, my friend. These games are not about the goal, it's about the journey and not the end.
You're listening to MMO Reporter, brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at audibletrial.com/MMO Reporter. And by Doghouse Systems. Choose your weapon with Doghouse Systems.
Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at. Don't forget about your ults you need.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of MMO Reporter. This is episode 170. That's right, we are only 30 episodes away from the big 200. I'm Chris and I am joined once again by the star of stage and screen, the wonder from down yonder, Mr. Harry Hall. Hello, Harry.
Oh, you're talking about me. Okay, that's a surprise. Hi.
Hi, I was saying nice things about you. I know you don't expect it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, we have the longest serving member of the MMO Reporter community, Mr. at MMO Bill. Hi, Bill.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about me, you know, when I was starring on that TV show that reports the things that happened during the day, and I was in handcuffs, and sorry, that was something else.
Either way, you're saying longest running.
Boys,
he was out of it. He was out of it for a while, and that means that I probably put in more hours on the show than Bill did.
And that is a question for our fans. All right, ladies and gentlemen, add up the show times of each of the shows that Bill and Harry have been on and see which one comes out on top. We'd love to know. Find out next week on MMO Reporter. Crickets.
I think you...
I think they're all
did you have a
gone
lot
now.
of coffee, or...
I think they're all gone. No, I'm so amazingly tired, and you know, I think I've mentioned it a couple times. I hurt my shoulder over the Christmas break, actually, on Boxing Day, the day after Christmas, and
you weren't supposed to take that literally.
What?
Boxing Day.
Oh, haha. No, I actually damaged my rotator cuff. And so I took a little bit of my pain medicine tonight, so I might be a little loopy. Well, no, who knows? Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Wait, did that come out loud? I thought that was just my inside voice.
It's always the same. It's just sugar pills. You're fine.
Oh, right. Okay. Thank you. Anyways, Bill, let's start talking about, since you're flashing your cursor here, that's not really appropriate. This is a PG show. No flashing of cursors, please. Why don't you start talking about what you've done, though?
I will do. I flashed no one in game this week at all anywhere, so that my streak is alive. No pun intended.
God.
That was actually really good, Bill. I'm not laughing because I'm surprised. I'm laughing because that's funny, which is not the usual.
There you go. Yeah, you can use that one yourself if you want. Played Guild Wars 2, mainly playing alts, still loving mega servers. For the very first time, I actually discovered an area in Guild Wars 2 I've never been before, which is we're getting into some Guild Wars 2 geekery here, so if you don't know Guild Wars 2, you could tune out for a second if you want. In the Diesa Plateau area, in the northeast corner, there's a little... kind of the major event area for the zone, which actually I think it's a timed event, but I'm not sure. But when you actually complete the event, it opens up a little miniature dungeon, which I have never been because I've never seen the event actually get completed. But with mega server technology, they were able to complete the event, kill the elite boss that was there, and I got to trundle my way through this little dungeon that I would have normally never seen. So yay, mega servers.
That is cool.
Yeah, it was really good. I wish I could remember the name of the dungeon now, but someone who knows Guild Wars 2 better than I is going to recall and correct me any second. I can just smell it. What else? Tried to play, or didn't try to play. I actually played Diablo 2, and
Do you mean Diablo 3?
Diablo 3 even, yeah. I played Diablo 2 plus 1. It was good. And I'm actually, this is my first, I mean, I've gone through the complete playthrough of the game now. My run through of the basic campaign plus the expansion campaign took me to about level 53, and I hopped back in. I'm actually doing adventure mode now. So they took the concept of World of Warcraft dailies and basically applied it to Diablo 3. And it's the simplest dailies in the world. It's Diablo 3, I'm really coming to the conclusion, is just World of Warcraft dumbed down to basically a 2-button game. And that's not a bad thing necessarily. It's actually kind of a neat thing to feel like you're destroying literally thousands of demons and witches and skeletons and that. But you don't really have to try very hard at it. In fact, the only thing you have to really try hard to do in that game is die.
Okay.
Which I found a way to do. I cranked the difficulty up way beyond what it should have been, and I did find something that would kill me. But anyway, Diablo 3, doing good, liking that. Tried to jump into the WildStar beta this weekend, but it turns out that the account or the beta authorization I got that was going to give me access to all the open betas leading up to the release of WildStar didn't actually get me into this beta. Because apparently this beta didn't count as open, even though they said they were inviting everybody under the sun, including pretty much everybody who'd been into the beta previously. So I was thinking maybe I swore or I stole a kill for one of the developers or something like that while I was in the last beta or something like that. But no, I was excited to play WildStar, but didn't happen. So now my WildStar enthusiasm is dampened. Screw those guys.
That's too bad.
Yeah. Sad on the inside.
Aww.
Yeah.
But you don't want to play the beta now, just as close as we are getting to launch. Just save it for when the game launches.
Exactly. Yeah.
You'll have
yeah,
a better time.
I'll be
no doubt about it.
I'll be more enthused by that point. Maybe they'll have wooed me back. It could happen.
I don't know. I disagree. I played Rift completely differently than that, and I'm doing the same for WildStar. We pushed every weekend, Selene and I, and we gamed like crazy in the Rift betas and had a blast doing it, and then had fun doing it all over again at launch. And we really enjoyed it.
Maybe you are a beta person. I'm definitely
It's not the beta. Like, it's just I liked Rift. I like WildStar too. I like playing the game, and that's the difference between some other MMOs where it doesn't feel like, I'm just like with the where WoW is for me right now. I just want to do dungeons, and I just want to do endgame stuff. So when I do the dungeons now, that's just the best way that I do it to get to the endgame stuff. With Rift and with WildStar, I just like playing it, whatever I'm doing.
You see, and I think I've played enough MMOs now where I've kind of recognized that I really get a charge out of the discovery of a game. That doing something for the first time in the game is a level or two better or more fun than doing it for the 5th time or the 8th time or whatever time after that. That first time is just a little bit more special, and I'm buying into the notion of saving yourself for a proper launch. I realize there's some that's what she said's in there, but do what you will, just do it on your own time. But like I think there's some value about waiting until it's as polished as it's going to get, and then seeing what they're going to present rather than seeing that same content when it's when it's all buggy and textures aren't complete and all the stuff is there. Like you could still see all the framework of the house and everything, and or the wireframes and that kind of thing. It's there's something lost there when you're experiencing it at that point, I think.
But shouldn't the game be fun every time you play it, or should a game only be fun once?
No, but
Well,
that's
sure,
not really it. It's about that feeling of getting somewhere for the first time. And MMOs have this special thing of progress being permanent. And if you take away the feeling of being first and the progress, or you're either first or you make progress, that's not a choice you should have to make. So just play the game when it launches, and you can get the whole deal at once.
I guess for me, with when I enjoy a game, I just, and I don't get this with every game. With some games that I level through, I'm just perfectly happy sitting there with my one character at max level. Other games, I'll go through and I'll make elts, and I'll go through and play them just because it's fun.
Oh,
I'll
for
tell you
sure.
another
And
reason. Oh, sorry, Bill.
I was just gonna say I get that very, very rarely with games. Like with Guild Wars 2, I still pop in and have fun, even though I've done certain quests or certain areas half a dozen times before, and I still enjoy that. But it's really rare for me. So if I'm playing the odds, I know that most games, the best value I'm going to get out of them is that first charge or that first enjoyment of experiencing it for the first time. And after that, mathematically, it's just a lot more likely I'm going to get tired of it and move on to something else.
Okay.
Sorry,
You were
Harry.
going to say, Harry?
Well, I was going to say that if one thing confirmed my dislike of betas, it was Elder Scrolls Online, because it gave me completely the wrong impression of the game. And betas tend to do that. Some are closer to their final product than others, but they are just not. They don't show you what the game is going to be. It's just a taste. And Elder Scrolls Online was a fine game when nobody else was playing it, and that's kind of sad for an MMO. I mean, that was
And
basically my problem with it. Sorry, yeah.
I was just going to say a little bit sad for humanity, too, actually.
Well, I wrote a pretty positive preview twice about Elder Scrolls Online, about having a lot of fun doing some of those dungeons in there and doing some of the story quests. And that was honestly before anybody else was playing it. And things like that don't give me comfort. And as I said, I don't like the idea of playing a game twice, especially when they burn all my progress. Sisyphus comes to mind.
So you've never played Final Fantasy 14 before?
I've not when I played the 1.0 version, I hated it and stopped playing it after 15 minutes. I've told you, and I only
That was
played it.
my hint of a segue.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were trying to be catching me in a lie or something. It's like, why am I being grilled?
No, just
could you
trying to
please take
politely
that?
say, move it along.
Can you take that light out of my eyes, please? I'm playing Final Fantasy 14 still, and I'm still having a lot of fun. And it's a game unlike any other MMO. It's very, very strange in places that once you reach level 30, which I reached on my Arcanist character, then you get the option to go back. Or actually, it's more of a mandatory option to go back to level 1.
Mandatory option.
Well,
That's
okay,
like
let me explain.
that's like the choice that you have to make, or sorry, the choice that you have to make, which is A. That's your choice, A.
Yeah, you
can choose A.
You can
or
choose
B,
A.
but choose A.
It's in my work. It's called being voluntold.
Yes, I voluntold
one.
students to do stuff all the time.
Well, you roll when you start playing. You choose a class, and your class is it basically defines how you play solo. Every class is very well rounded, but you choose either a caster or a healer or whatever. But even a healer character would be very good at DPS and have a high rate of a high survivability. At level 30, you have the option to choose a job, or you have to work for that, literally. What you do is to unlock the job for your character, for your main class, you have to play up to level 15 in another class. and those are linked. So, for example, I am an Arcanist, and I can choose two jobs, which is unique for this particular class. I can either go healer, which is the scholar, or I can go full DPS, which would be the summoner, which is a pet class. But to do the scholar, which I'm doing now, I have to go to a other guild and learn how to be a conjurer and use a different weapon, switch class, and level up to 15 to complete that and get that job to be a full healer on my level 30 main class.
And
Is everybody getting this so far?
Quick question: is the job that you have to do tied to the job you want to learn, or is it any other? So, for example, you said you wanted to be the scholar, the healer type, so you went and learned how to be a caster. To me, that makes some sort of connection, right? Caster, healer.
There's a connection in the sense that every main class is tied to a secondary class that you have to level up to 15 to get the job.
Okay.
And the job is basically a specialization. All the other, this makes it confusing if you don't know Final Fantasy 14, but all the other classes except the one that I picked currently have one job. So you go through the game up to level 30 or up to level 50 or whatever you want to on the first thing you picked for your first class. And if you want a specialization, which gives you a whole slew of extra options that makes you better at performing your group role, like tank, healer, or DPS, then you have to level another class, a specific class to level 15 to get that job. And the job is basically the specialization of the class.
Okay. That makes sense.
It makes sense, and what's interesting and what makes it fun is that you get a very well placed change of pace in the leveling curve. Because I've been playing like a full DPS for 30 levels, and now all of a sudden I'm playing a completely different class from level 1 to 15, which is boosted, by the way, because the XP rate goes up if the discrepancy between the class you're playing and the highest you have is large enough. So if there is a big discrepancy between my Conjurer that I'm leveling now and my Arcanist, which is my main class, I will get a large XP boost, which takes me through those first 15 hours much quicker than the first time around. Okay. So it doesn't feel like a big
And do you
grind.
go back to the same zone to do those, or are there other choices that you can go to?
There are many choices, and the other guild, you have three main cities, and around those cities are the three main continents, and the guild where you get your new class for the job is on another continent. So you almost automatically are funneled into a new starter zone.
So sorry, just one other quick question. Do you think that you knew Final Fantasy 14 1.0 as well as you know this new version?
Oh, no. Hell no.
Because I was wondering, my real question, and maybe I should ask Carrie, who I know plays Final Fantasy 14 as well, is this version of the game just them doing what they were trying to do the first time right? No. Or did they just say, you know what? That game sucked. Let's just do different. Like, should this really be Final Fantasy 15?
What happened? Yeah, what happened? Yoshi P, who is now the lead designer, was brought into the team. I think the game failed. It was not designed by the guy who's designing it now. It was a mess, and it was an inexperienced team, and even though there were people from 11 in there, it was a team that had little experience with what makes an MMO actually fun. Right. So the game crashed and burned, and everybody hated it. And this was a huge disaster for Square Enix because Final Fantasy is their flagship brand. Right. It's almost like Bungie having Destiny blow up into their face. It's that level of disaster. So then he came. He was already in the team, and he was handed the reins, and he evaluated what can we do now, and he basically convinced the higher ups that we could either continue like this and patch some of the bad parts out of it, and in 1.5 years, 2 years time, the game has to close down because nobody wants to play it, and we've lost a huge amount of goodwill from the fans because fans are not going to put up with this. They feel like they've been burnt, and they will not come back to the Final Fantasy game even if we put out a Final Fantasy 15 MMO or whatever.
Right.
So he convinced them to go completely rebuild the game from scratch, and and this is stated in several interviews, they went in it from the perspective of we want to do this to regain confidence, not from a business point of view. We are not doing this to recoup the money of the previous project. We're doing this to save the brand.
Right.
And this had the fortunate side effect of them making a game that was fun and regaining the trust of the players. And that made it a financial success because they have over 2 million registered users now, which is huge for a subscription game in this day and age.
Yeah.
So it is, yeah.
I was just going to say, speaking of those 2 million users, one news story that we didn't put into the show here is that Final Fantasy XIV is actually doing their fan festival in Las Vegas this year in October. And I was thinking, are you going to be interested in Final Fantasy long enough to actually? I could see you emceeing the whole event. I think you should. I think you can swing.
I'm turning into a little bit of a fanboy here. I know, but it's just I'm having so much fun with it, and it plays wonderful on the PlayStation 4.
WildStar
MMO
and I
shooter-
know nothing of what you're talking about.
Anyway, but enough gushing about that. I will talk about something else now. You like this? I played a beta. It's called.
So you hated it?
I played Survarium.
What is that?
Yeah, exactly. You might know. You've probably heard of the Stalker games, right? The PC hardcore shooters.
Yep.
So that company, a Ukraine company, basically blew up. I'm sorry, I didn't. This is a wrong phrase of words. I didn't mean it that way. The company went down that made Stalker, and for nobody really knows what happened. Except, at least nobody's talking about that. And the people who worked there were not able to finish Stalker 2, so they formed their own company, and now they're doing a post-apocalyptic shooter in the vein of Stalker. But with MMO and online elements. And they call that Survarium. Or Survarium, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's a bad... And they had and the vision is grand. I mean, they want to have co-op shooter missions. It's a first-person shooter, by the way. They want to have co-op missions. They want to have death matches. And they also want to include an MMO-like open world, which plays a lot like DayZ in the sense that everybody can kill everybody, and everybody has to survive this apocalyptic world where a big ecological disaster has ruined everything. So that's the vision. And what they showed, they had a open, they called it a beta last Friday, where everybody was allowed to play for 24 hours. And what they showed was basically just the shooter part. And it was the weirdest shooter I've ever played in my life. I will tell you this. This is a game, and I know this is not done. This wasn't beta. This was pre-alpha because, for example, there is only one character model for everybody.
Oh.
The only mode that was available was matchmaking for team deathmatch. Okay, first thing you have when you have when you have team deathmatch, admittedly nicely designed arenas that look like a wasted world, like overgrown ruins. You know the post-apocalyptic stuff. It looks good, run well, but if every enemy and every teammate looks like you, the only difference, the only way to distinguish one player from the other was if they had a white dot over their head, a small white dot, they were on your team.
Huh.
Okay, now add friendly fire.
Oh, so really, survivorarium. I mean, yeah, no one's surviving.
So you're running, and then you have these very well designed maps with open areas and indoor areas with very narrow tunnels, winding tunnels, and you're running through them, and you get trigger happy. And somebody comes around the corner, there's only one option, but to shoot them in the face.
Right.
It doesn't matter if there is a dot or not, it has to die. If it moves, it dies. So that made a very interesting impression on me. And they also had these areas that were probably radiated or something, and then you saw this glowing area, and if you walked into that, you died as well. It was very, very strange.
Surprise, you're dead.
Just the fact that you're running around in a world of clones, and everybody can kill everybody, but it's not. And this was really upsetting me at a certain point. The game crashed every time, just before the scoreboard was about to come up. So every match was as pointless as it was even more pointless because I never knew who won. I think everybody lost. I'm not sorry, yeah.
I was just gonna say, if everyone's killing their own teammates, then who really wins there?
I'm not sure everybody was as sure as hell I was, but and not on purpose. I wasn't. I was not trying to. But sometimes, and also, it's if you have somebody in your sights and you're shooting them, and somebody else jumps in front of your gun. I'm sorry, I did not mean to kill him. Then it wasn't even
But
funny.
you
It's
did.
Just, yeah, I did, didn't I? Anyway, okay, but I'm not judging this game but based on this experience. Obviously, it was what they were probably just testing was the server architecture, which didn't work, and the shooting mechanics, which did work. It was a more realistic take on the shooter. I mean, you have a big kickback on the gun, so aiming is difficult, and reloading was a little bit slower. So you have this more tension than you have in a Call of Duty game. So I can't say what the game is going to be. I only can say this was very, very strange.
You know,
And
there's
finally,
plenty of tension in a Call of Duty game. I mean, have you seen some of the messages that people send after the matches?
I've apologized for that so many times.
That's
And you keep
you that
bringing that
sends
up.
those messages.
I played Mario Golf World Tour, and that's actually a fun little 3DS game. I say little, it's not little. It's Mario Golf, and it's fun. If you like either Mario or golf, this is the game to get to your 3DS. It's a lot of fun. It's the Magic Mushroom Kingdom with golf. I mean, what's not to like?
Makes
That's
sense
awesome.
to me.
It's a perfect fit. I mean, golf needs power-ups.
That's true. You know what? I could see that being awesome. That would be a lot of fun.
Golf is basically a puzzle. A puzzle with some skill involved. And if you add some extra elements like power-ups or areas on the green or on the fairway that basically boost your ball to go a little bit further, it works. And not every
You know
not every
what?
course.
That's
Yeah.
my balls often need a little boost.
I was so close. I hope to get away with that. I was just I kept talking just to avoid this. Okay. I must admit that as a subtitle for my review, I called it Mario Golf World Tour has balls.
Oh, that's too funny.
It's terrible. No, it's terrible.
In the best
Chris,
way
what did you do?
possible. I played.
Tell me how much you loved ESO.
I'm. You know what? I keep playing, and I keep not hating it, and I'm waiting I'm waiting for more. I want to get through enough that I don't feel like I've gotten far enough in it that I can be justified in defending my opinion on it when somebody calls me on it. I just
I don't get that. I don't understand that.
Well, okay, here's the thing. You formed your and I completely understand this, but you formed a fairly strong opinion of WildStar with those first 7 or 8 levels that you played in your engineer, right?
I wouldn't say strong.
Well, you have an idea of what you think
I got
of the
the
game,
gist. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I really feel that it really starts to take off after level 10, and things get harder because you said it was too easy. You start to open up some of the other types of gameplay that can happen, and
But
I don't know
didn't
if
condemn the game for it.
What's
I
that?
didn't judge WildStar on that. It's just I didn't feel the need to
Well,
play more of the beta because I'm not
then
judging it
I'm
yet.
using the wrong example, but I'm trying to
Yeah.
get to that point where I won't have someone saying, "But you that's just once I get up to somewhere around the mid 20s or so, I should be able to say, you know what, I played a bunch of this game. Yeah, I didn't make it to end game, but I'm good enough recommending or not recommending this game, getting this far in it, right? And so I'm continuing to play through, and I continue not to hate it. And that's about the best I can say right now.
I've played a lot of hours of Elder Scrolls Online, but I feel, and I think I'm not counting levels, but if I'm playing something for 10 hours and I'm annoyed and not having fun or having a mild feeling of amusement, I think that says something. I'm not saying you should judge a game on the first 2 hours, especially in MMO, but after 10, God, then you if the game hasn't grabbed you by the golf balls, then you really don't. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. I keep hoping for that moment, right? Because I do think that there's, I think that there's. I can't think of. I was just gonna say. I think that there's a game there. Well, yeah, that's the point. But like I feel like I just the fun is around the next corner, right? I just
every time.
I have to get to it. But when I get around that corner, it's around the next corner, right?
I think that if you are, there are several games I bought when I still had to pay for each and every game I'm playing. I felt sometimes very disappointed, but I didn't admit it to myself for a long time. So you keep telling yourself, maybe it's not as bad as I think. I just invested 50 or 60 or 70 euros in it. Let's just give it another few hours. And you just keep going. But all the time, you know it's not doing what you want it to do. And that feeling, I hated that.
Harry, is this an intervention?
It's just, I think if you're not having fun, then why are you playing? Because the only function of any game, I mean, why do you play? You want to go back
But
to
I
WildStar.
don't not have fun.
Okay, you can't. You're not making this easy for me.
This has been a month-long saga with us talking about this, and
Not having. You're saying you're playing a game, and you're saying I'm not disliking it.
right,
It's not. I'm not hating it.
right.
Okay, well, enjoy whatever it is you are doing there.
Yeah.
Well, he's not really enjoying it. I think the better wish would be, okay, Chris, just don't hating it.
Yeah.
Go to a restaurant go to a restaurant every night, and you pay for it. And every night the meal is, it was food. I wasn't hungry when I got out. It's okay. I mean, I didn't throw up. I mean, the dessert was okay.
Oh,
And then go back every night.
that is the best analogy for that I think I've ever heard. You know what? I didn't throw up, so yeah, tomorrow night.
I need food anyway.
Right, yeah. And I did play WildStar. I went with my guild master from the Irregulars is the name of my guild that I'm in at the moment, which I think I'll be staying with for a while, and did Storm Talon's Lair with them, and just still getting used to tanking in WildStar. It is much more intensive. A lot of games are, and a lot of MMOs are like Facebook games or mobile games. They're cooldown managers, right? When you are tanking in WoW, a lot of what you're doing is managing your cooldowns, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it is just so much more intense and hands-on in WildStar when you're tanking. The position is so much more. You actually can't just soak everything. You can't. You won't survive. Yes, there's still cooldowns, but they are a part of what you're doing, not what you are doing. So it was hard, and I died a few times, and we died a few times because of me, died a few times because of other people, and I loved every freaking second of it. So yeah. Crickets. No comments on that?
Like I said, they wouldn't let me in, so I can't comment really.
I'm actually looking forward to playing the game in June when it launches. I really wonder. I'm. This is a game I'm looking forward to.
We should try and get you over on a North American server, to so that we can play together.
That would be cool, except for the fact that if you're not on, most people are basically asleep.
Well, that's true. Well, although my raiding guild is late night West Coast, which would be early morning for you, so you could get up early and raid.
Yeah, that's my life really revolves around organic rating schedule. That's the way to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you play anything else, Chris?
No, that's been it. Life has been hitting me square in the watch, and I have not had time to do pretty much anything else. And it's not like, I don't know if we mentioned it yet, but I'm going to be away for a couple of weeks from the show, traveling with different groups and stuff like that. So, it's been getting ready for that, and 2 festivals in 14 days, plus a fundraising, plus a talent show at my school that I had to do all the sound and lights for, plus kids and life and gaming. So yeah. Wah,
Yeah.
wah. Sad trombone sound. But hey, I had fun in WildStar, so that's really all that freaking matters.
The rest is just one big coal mine for you.
So I'm really excited about this bit of news. We held off from talking about it in the whole preamble here. This is breaking wild news. The biggest MMO of all time is launching. It's been officially announced, and it is going to be Minecraft servers hosted by Minecraft. So now you can play Minecraft whenever you want.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
With
Yeah.
other people.
What I'm wondering is if this also includes servers for the Xbox or the other console versions. I don't think so.
No.
Reading the article, I saw that it's not even supporting the Pocket version or the I'm guessing
Mobile.
the Pocket or the tablet version or anything like that. This
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
it's just the PC version, and that's pretty much
Yeah,
it.
those mobile ones only do LAN multiplayer. They don't do internet one, and the Xbox, I believe, also only does LAN multiplayer, right?
I
Like
think
split
so.
Screen. Yeah. And basically,
It's
this is something that would be perfect for my kids, because I don't want to run a Minecraft server. None of their friends have Minecraft servers, and they're young, right? My oldest is 10. So, doing something like this and their friends doing it means that they could play together without having to set up a Minecraft server somewhere.
and it fills a need, I'm sure. I mean, anyone can set up their own Minecraft server, but there is a certain barrier to entry in terms of technical knowledge and having some resources, and then something that you can leave connected to the internet all the time and make sure that it's accessible to everyone that you want to sign into it. So, I mean, this is a service that's out there, and I think wanted by people, and there's no obvious solution for it other than to cobble your own. So it makes sense that it came out. I think it's more filling the need for a service that nobody else really stepped up to fill.
Well, there are servers that you can rent, and there's ways that you can get around having your own server. But I think having it through Mojang gives it a little bit more validity and a little bit more security. If I'm looking, I'm not a very technically savvy parent or something, and my kids love this Minecraft silliness that they keep on playing and talking about, and there's they want to play with their friends, but they can't just do it. They have to set up the server or something like that, or they can just pay $13 a month to get a subscription and they're set. Well, that $13 a month is going to look pretty appealing compared to the other options.
Well, you can play ESO for that. Almost.
Or Landmark, I guess.
Landmark is free to play, actually.
Well, I know.
Okay, so you could play Landmark and have $13 for coffee and whatever. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
Crickets. Okay.
Yeah, crickets. I mean, I guess that's the end of that discussion. I don't know. I think it's a good idea. I don't think it's a money grab. I think it's offering a service that is wanted. And as far as MMOs go, as far as this sort of thing, it is a very comparable price.
As long as they don't.
Go ahead, Harry.
Oh, Bill, go.
Okay, Bill.
I was just gonna say it's a sensible thing that was likely to happen, and it happened, and yeah, I can't really. I'm not excited, but I hope it gets used and people love it and everybody's happy.
Yep.
As long as they don't remove the option of doing it yourself, I don't see any problem with it. I must say I've run a Minecraft server a couple of years ago before it was cool and everybody did it. I'm a hipster Minecraft player. I had a little Linux server, and I ran a little server where other people actually came and built and played, and that was a lot of fun. And I imagined that's how it felt to be Blizzard, to have your own little world in this computer running all the time. But it's not that hard. But I can imagine if you're 10, it's a big daunting task, or if you're the parent of a 10-year-old with stuff to do.
Yeah. All right, I think it's time to move on. Let's talk about our destinies, gentlemen. We need to talk about Destiny. No, we're not talking about our future fate. We are talking about the upcoming Bungie shooter MMO. There is a story on Massively that talks about it, but I think really the big part of this article that we wanted to talk about was their discussion about whether or not they would have a PC version. You know, just port it over to the PC, and there you go. The short version, which is not much shorter than the actual version of their answer, is no, fuck it, we're not doing it. No PC version. And the long version
what was that noise? What was that bleeping noise?
The long version is a PC version is pretty complicated.
This is Bungie's standard response to everything, pretty much. I mean, I've still, being the old fart that I am, I remember Halo back in the day and how the entire PC community was absolutely betrayed and enraged by virtue of the fact that Halo was going to come out as an Xbox only kind of thing. So I mean, it was a
Mac game.
It was going to be a Mac and PC game.
Yeah, and then they went Xbox and never came back. So this is not news for Bungie.
No, but I mean the answer it's quite complicated. You see to port this over to the PC. So you know I'm gonna have to ask you to stop asking about that.
Well, the really weird thing is what they're saying is it's too complicated to launch this game on the platform it was developed on.
Right.
Because they're stating that their lead development platform is the PC. So they have it up and it's the mother of all Destiny games is a PC version.
Yep.
And it's not possible to launch. And I say good for them because it has no freaking place on the PC.
Okay, now
this
explain
should be
that.
just on consoles.
Explain that.
Because I got a PlayStation 4 and I want to freaking justify having that thing in my house.
I understand now because I was ready to talk about shooter and shooters on consoles and blah 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 and talk to you about how much I love Titanfall on PC and how great it plays on PC, and you just went and played your selfishness card.
I must say, apart from that, which of course is true, I noticed how much less I enjoyed playing Titanfall with mouse and keyboard. And when I hooked up my Alienware to the big screen and used the Xbox controller and basically played it like a console shooter, I was having much more fun. So it is me. The past 10 years, my shooter box was the was the console, not the PC, and it feels much more comfortable, and especially a game that looks as involved and as long term as Destiny.
I can't aim worth crap on a console, so
But it's also it's combined the fact that I'm playing Final Fantasy. I have Final Fantasy 14 on the PC and on the PS4
right.
and the PS3,
And you can play
my
the same
platform,
account across all platforms, can't you?
It's the same account in the same server on the
Yeah.
same world. So
Yeah.
I'm switching seamlessly from one platform to the other. I'm playing. I can continue playing the same thing.
But
And my platform of
wait,
choice
Harry,
is
it's pretty
PlayStation 4.
complicated to do that. Does it look too complicated with PC versions to be able to do that?
Yeah, we really don't know how to do this PC thing. It runs on it. It works well, and everybody in the office is playing it. It's too complicated to have everybody have that same amount of fun.
Yeah. You know, I think I'm gonna need you to come in on Saturday.
That's pretty complicated, Chris. I don't think I can do that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but that's a bullshit answer.
Yeah, you know it's going to happen at some point. But
Game development is pretty complicated. Thank you.
what I don't really get is, I mean, I would have understood this if it was a exclusive to one of the consoles. I mean, I can imagine Microsoft or Sony saying, "No, we want this at least for the first year on our box,
Yeah.
and then do whatever the hell you want with it." But that's not the case. It's multi-platform.
Right.
It's on everything. It's even on last-gen consoles.
Yeah.
So I don't see any reason why it can run on a freaking Xbox 360, which is 8-year-old hardware by now,
Yeah.
and not on a top-of-the-line PC.
Yeah. It's just so.
And
It's, they don't
it's
want
not
to.
the case. Exactly. They don't want to, and it could have to do with their design sensibility. Maybe they just built this as a console game,
Right.
and
And
I can
you know what else it could be as well? You know, going multi-platform like that, going on the Xbox, unlike Final Fantasy 14, Xbox is closed, so they already have to run.
Yeah.
Their different servers. They're probably going to have to run different Xbox to Xbox One servers because Microsoft
that's a
is
good one.
Microsoft. So why would they want to set up another set of servers for a platform that is not the top seller? You look at Defiance, which is filling a similar niche, although I think that Destiny will probably fare a lot better than Defiance did. But you know, they're Xbox focused now because that is where all the sales are. That's where their customers are. So,
well, I don't think those two really compare one to one, obviously, but it's not even close.
no, but
think
it's a similar. It's similar in maybe target audience.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think Destiny is designed for mass appeal, and Defiance most definitely isn't. I mean, I'm not saying but it is a niche title. It's a shooter MMO based on a Sci-Fi Channel TV show. This is mass appeal. It doesn't have, and Destiny caters to the people who like Halo. And Halo is a game that was designed for as large a group of people as possible. I'm not saying casual, but it has mass market appeal. Defiance never had that.
Yeah.
But that's not not saying anything of the quality of Defiance.
No.
Let's not get into that, please. in the Xbox 360
We don't
version.
need to talk about that. It would take many, many years and much, much higher education at a collegial level to be able to have that discussion.
You know when games were actually really cool, when graphics didn't really matter.
Yes, that was like. Oh wait, I can't talk about that because I don't like some graphic stuff. Darn it! I'm gonna shut up now.
Best graphics are in your imagination. La, la,
That's
la,
exactly.
la.
That was the tagline of Infocom, the company behind classics like Zork and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. But there were games before that actually, which were multiplayer, and that's the original multiplayer online dungeon is Mud. And Mud is a game. It sounds disgusting. Mud stands for multi-user dungeon, and it was a text-only game, played like a text adventure on a server. And I played it back in the day in the most inconvenient way possible. There was no internet back then, at least not for a 12 or 13-year-old boy living somewhere in the Netherlands. We're talking about late 90s. Late 80s. Early 90s. And I had a little home computer, an MSX computer with a modem, a 1200 baud modem. That meant if I was downloading a 128 kilobyte game, it took 30 minutes. 128 kilobytes is about half the size of anybody's Twitter avatar picture. So imagine that. The Mud was a game that was only available in England, over the phone lines, to call in. And there was several universities, for example, the University of Essex, ran a version of Mud. I think that's even the original one that was created by Mr. Bartle. And when my parents went shopping, I hooked up the computer to the telephone line, dialed from the Netherlands to England. And we didn't have flat fee telephone fees. This was like 5 guilders, which is about $2 per minute. My parents loved me.
Wow.
So I played about an hour of that game before being busted. But this original Mud, which the computer gave you a description of your surroundings, and you played by giving commands like get treasure or get sword or kill critter, and it was actually a hard free for all multiplayer game where you could actually kill other players as well and get their treasure. And the point of the game was to get as much treasure as you could find by solving puzzles and dumping it into the swamp to get points for it. I've been playing it for a long time ever since, because it was also brought online and made free a couple of years later. And now it is actually acquired by Stanford University. They got the source code. And I think they're doing this to basically, what's the word? Conserve it for future generations.
That's pretty awesome.
And it's yeah. I don't know that it's going to be used for anything to produce anything new, but it's certainly. It's getting to the point where it's a history of gaming type thing. Like this is it's almost a history class that this could contribute to.
Well, but that's it. I mean, I have warm memories of playing text mods from the late 80s. The game itself was released in 1978, and when I got to college and nobody was watching my phone use, I played a lot of text mods. I played them on the internet as well, and they are great games if you're able to immerse yourself into it. It's difficult if you're coming from graphics, but these games were deep, fun, and involved. And had great communities.
No, I have a lot of memories. Very, very fond memories of
Mod 1 is actually playable now today. And Mod 2 as well. They're both free to play. Yeah.
That's awesome. That was the way that I got through my lonely nights moving away from home for the first time, was through bulletin boards and muds.
Now, I will put a link in the show notes to the actual game called BritishLegends.com, which is the name in America it had on, I think, AOL, or what was there was this internet service you had, and it was part of that. And in the US it was called British Legends. No, that's a search engine.
Now, before we go down the road too far and have fond memories of muds and that kind of thing, did we first check to see what the Metacritic score was for them? Because if it's too low, I feel like we just wasted our time.
Yeah.
Right?
Don't worry, it's an 8 out of 10.
Oh, okay.
Well, then it must be great.
It's worth talking about then, so that's all good.
Yeah.
So anyway, that little exercise is brought to you by none other than Mr. Joseph Foran on Twitter. Thank you for bringing to our attention a little article over on p4rgaming.com, which is a site I'd never been to before, but it's a little bit of a humor site. But it kind of touches on a little bit of discussion that we've had about game review scores and that kind of thing, and is a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek review of a study done on Superman 64 after it's been given a perfect 10 review, because for those of you in the know, Superman 64 is in the running for the worst game of all time. So
yeah,
it reads actually very dry. Like, it actually took me several paragraphs to realize, like, oh, this is a joke. Okay, I get it. But
is it really a joke? Or is it
The story
comment on...
states...
Sorry, I was trying to be stupid, but
I'm
I
sorry.
do that naturally.
No, the story basically says people are unable to evaluate the quality of a game without Metacritic, which is true. I've always said this. We reviewers are the exalted ones. And if we put a score on a game, that decides if you like it or not. So I have the power. I have the power to make or break a game. And not just make or break it, but make you like or dislike it. And that's an awesome power to have. And you can absolutely tell how big that power is if you listen closely to Chris's reaction to how much I'm gushing over Final Fantasy XIV or EVE Online. I mean, he loves those games. Not because of those games themselves, but because I tell him to.
Yeah.
Sorry. Well, I wasn't supposed to laugh at that point, was I?
And that's the thing. I read this article and I realized it was a joke, and I realized it was funny. But I think it made me a little bit uncomfortable reading it. And I think it's because there's some underlying truth to the whole thing. Like, this is a joke, but it's just barely a joke. I think there's actually a fair amount of truth to this, in that I think that
there are people who
I'd be
think
really
that way.
curious to see what an actual study like this would do with Superman 64 versus Skyrim versus whatever.
Wasn't it on your review, Harry, that somebody said, how could you give it this? Didn't you see what Metacritic gave it?
Several times. I mean, it's not... the average comment, ironically, was that. I should have gone to Metacritic and look at the average score.
I mean, are not really
fair.
reviews, are they not truly critiques? Are they not individual interpretations of the game's reaction to players?
What I find, I don't want to bash this too long, but the thing is, when I read reviews on books or on plays or on any other form of art, I consider games a form of art, just as TV and whatever. Mm-hmm. I enjoy the fact that there are differences of opinion, and people are basically debating the art form over the reviews. But in games, more and more, and I think in movies it's become the same because of things like Metacritic. Those scores have become marketing tools, and that's why scores are massaged by the PR companies and trying to get to certain points, and why teams are basically rewarded or punished based on the Metacritic scores. This is very strange in this industry. You don't see this in books. I mean, I don't get a bonus or a bad or less royalties for my book or if the reviews are bad.
When's it coming out in English again?
I will get less royalties, but... Sorry?
When's it coming out in English again?
It failed in Dutch, so I'm not going to let it fail in English as well.
I have to read it, but I don't understand it.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm just saying, and I think that's all. I find it kind of sad that that gamers don't see that it's good to disagree about these things as reviewers, because that livens things up, and it gives genuine information to both the players and the people who make the games.
Now here's the thing, and I think the reason, or pardon me, a reason anyway, behind that that kind of defense of a game or getting offended by a poor score for a game that somebody actually likes comes down to the investment into it. Like if you're playing a game that you actually like, the chances are very good that A, you've invested some money into it, but B, you've also invested a significant amount of time. A movie that you like that maybe got a bad review, you're talking about an investment of like a couple hours. Whoopee. A game that you liked, you might have burnt 20 hours on that game, or 30, or even more. And to have somebody tell you that 30 hours that you burned, it wasn't worth 30 hours to them. It was only worth maybe one, and that was a struggle to get through. There's a bit of cognitive dissonance there. Like you have to defend. Like I have that visceral defense feeling when somebody actually puts down a game that I really like, to the point where I feel like I need to justify the time I spent into it. So people have to keep that or justify themselves that way. So that's, I think, where this where kind of the getting tied into that review score, going back to what you were saying, Harry, about how you decide how people feel about a game. That review score is going to invite someone into that game, and they're going to burn 20 hours on it, and maybe they would have, in their head, if they were perfectly objective, they would have given it 2 points less than what you would have given it. But because they spent that 20 hours, they wanted to live up to that score that you gave it, that invited them into the game. I feel like I'm going in a circle here, but it's more like a spiral.
But what you're saying, if you've played a game and you have information based on your experiences with it, and then I can see what you're saying, and I understand that if you're playing a game and you're enjoying it, and somebody says it's crap, that you get a little bit of offended, because it almost feels like they're saying you're wrong, and that's a feeling I can place it. I don't agree with it, because I think everybody's entitled to their opinion, but I can place that feeling. But what I don't get is the vile hatred from people who haven't played this game, but state outright, I've had this in several reviews, they say, I haven't played it yet, but this reviewer obviously doesn't know what he's talking about. I saw the trailer, it looks awesome, and I'm going to buy it anyway. The hell with him. And I think, okay, why are you getting angry with me? If you want to buy it, go ahead. But you're not basing it on anything but commercials. I'm going to buy this soda because it had awesome advertising. The girl had huge boobs there, so I'm going to drink that bottle of soda no matter how crappy they say it tastes, because that ad was so hot. Yeah. Okay,
and that's why
ahead.
I said that it's a reason instead of the reason, because, some people just really like to argue.
Sheeple is the word that comes to mind. And I hate that word.
Oh,
Sorry.
I died a little bit on the inside. Now I know someone who's deliberately used the word sheeple in a sentence.
Basically, this is the Godwin of this discussion. Let's just quit now, because we already went way too far.
Yeah.
Just enjoy the games you like, people. That's the message to take.
Oh,
just
geez.
enjoy whatever you want.
Steve just called you Hitler. That guy.
Oh, Steve, come on.
Well, I'm happy the sound cut out because I didn't hear it, but never mind. Okay, let's move on.
Let's move things along here. We do have one quick announcement before we go to our contact information. Want to mention our sponsors real quick. Of course, there's Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/MMO Reporter, and you can sign up for their plan where you get one audiobook per month for the subscription. But hey, go to audibletrial.com/MMO Reporter, and you'll get your first month free, because that's how we like to roll. We like to help you out. Also, our very good friends over at Doghouse Systems, go to doghousesystems.com, use the coupon code MMO Reporter, and double your RAM. And hey, they have got some pretty awesome systems. They just did a big website redesign, and it's looking really, really cool. So go check it out. Check out all their systems. And then when you do decide to get yourself a system built by Doghouse Systems, use the coupon code MMO Reporter. Bill, if people want to get a hold of us, how should we tell them to do that?
There's a whole bunch of ways. You can head over to our corner of the internet, otherwise known as MMOReporter.com. You can send an email to mmo.reporter@gmail.com. Come find us on Facebook at facebook.com/MMOReporter. You can tweet at any of us using the following tweetular handles, either at MMO_reporter, at Harry Hall for Mr. Harry Hall, Mr. at Leonor for the Invisible Leonor, at MMO Bill for yours truly. And you can also give us a voicemail. Send us voicemail by calling 616-666-6778 or clicking on the widget on the right side of the previously mentioned MMOReporter.com. Give us a thought. We'd love to hear it, and we'd love to make you internet famous just like the rest of us. Finally, the icing on our internet fame cake is our presence on YouTube. Head over to youtube.com/user/MMO Reporter Network to see all of our, you could get all of our podcast videos transcribed on there or put onto YouTube. You can see all of our PAX coverage, other game conference coverage, game samples, all kinds of good stuff there. Check it out, youtube.com/user/MMO Reporter Network.
Awesome. That was an absolute blast, guys. Thanks so much, Harry, for coming out and recording.
You're quite welcome. It was a pleasure as always.
You jerk, Harry. Don't put funny pictures in the Skype chat. Makes me lose my train of thought.
Are we doing that again? Because
roses are red. My name's Dave. This poem makes no sense. Microwave.
And this is tattooed on somebody's arm.
Tattooed on somebody's arm. Bill, what do you think? Do you think that's a tradition that needs to be restarted? Please say no.
I absolutely do. There's nothing wrong with random photobombs during a podcast. In fact, I think our best podcasts were the ones that degenerated into stupid laughter because somebody posted a great imager link into
The last
chat.
one I now linked is one of the most horrible pictures you'll see today. So look at it now.
Oh, man, that's horrible. That's horrible. You need to put that at the bottom of chat or the bottom of the show notes so that gets put into the post.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Bill and Harry. Thanks, everyone, for downloading the podcast. As always, it is fantastic. Absolutely fantabulous to have you come out, hang out with us as we record. Of course, we love all of you who download the podcast every week too. We hope that you download the podcast again next week, but most importantly, we hope to see you in game.
Don't forget about your alts you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got.